What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Seth Rogen film, Sausage Party. Sausage Party is the new animated adult film starring Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, and a whole mess of other funny people. It is the story about what food thinks happens when they leave the grocery store. They're all anthropomorphized, and in this film, they all have this idea that humans are gods, and they get taken to the promised land when they leave the grocery store. And this follows the story of a sausage played by Seth Rogen and a bun played by Kristen Wiig, and how they find out the truth of what actually happens when they leave this grocery store and how horrible it is, and they need to tell all of the other food about what really happens to them. A lot of people have been saying that Sausage Party is the first of its kind, and it is the first of its kind in the sense that it is a fully CGI animated adult comedy. However, it's not the first of its kind in the sense that it is an animated adult comedy. We've had the South Park movie, and we've had a few other like lower budget, less big cast films. This is the first CGI one though, and I have to say, the animation in this movie actually looks really good. Like, I wouldn't say it is as good as a Pixar or a Disney animated film, but it's up there and it's on par enough that if you were to show the trailer without audio to a child, they would probably, in some sequences, have the mindset that this was a children's film. Keep in mind, this is not a children's film at all. This movie is a extremely hard rated R film. Do not ever show any scene of this film to your child because they are dropping the F-bomb in every single scene of this movie. The thing that I really want to praise about this movie the most is its premise. The premise of this film is so insanely clever and makes everything so effortless to make amazing jokes out of this. And if you ask me, if less clever people were given this idea of this film, it would not have turned out as good as it did. They take this extremely ridiculous idea of food living in a grocery store and what they think happens when they leave, and they turn it into what is one of the funniest comedies of the year so far. This movie is absolutely hilarious. The cast is amazing. All of the voice actors do such a good job. In particular, I really want to point out Michael Cera. He plays this little deformed hot dog, and his name is Barry, and I loved his character through the whole film, and he was, in my opinion, the best voice performance in the whole movie. I really enjoyed him throughout this whole film, and I'm glad Michael Cera is still getting work, because even though he's sort of a person that I think a lot of people say plays the same character in everything he does, I think he always does a really good job at that character. It also uses the idea of the humans being gods to the food to almost make this allegory about the comparison of religion and science throughout the film, and I thought that that was extremely clever and worked extremely well throughout the whole movie. I also think that they took the fact that each food is sort of separated by, you have Mexican food and, you know, Middle Eastern food and all these other different like regional foods, and they get placed in different sections. If you go to any grocery store, that's how it is. And in this movie, they played off of that fact by using the stereotypes of the people that live there to use them on that food. But at the same time, they're fighting the idea of those stereotypes and trying to like bring everyone together. And it was so clever because it's something that from a movie like this, you would never expect it to go as deep as this movie actually does. The only problems that I found with this film were, for one, and this personally didn't affect me, but I feel that this movie, being as it's such a strange concept, decides to go farther than other movies probably would have, and I feel that the raunchiness of this movie is probably too far for some people that will go into it and think particularly one sequence probably goes way too far. I personally thought the sequence was extremely funny, and I think for the whole movie that kind of is that way. There are definitely sequences throughout this whole film that for people that don't enjoy very raunchy comedy will go too far, and they will think gets to a point where it's just trying to be gross out comedy almost. I felt that it worked very well with the concept of this movie, and I also felt that based on what this movie is about, it was very funny to go that far with it. My main issue though is that throughout this movie there are two different storylines. You follow one group of food and another group of food, and I felt that in the middle of the film, during the second act, the first act was very strong, the third act was very strong. I felt that the second act, in particularly with Seth Rogen's character, was very slow. There weren't many jokes happening. There wasn't really anything going on that was really pushing that story forward until he finally got to a point that I can't spoil. But I felt that that was a pretty pretty long, like 15 to 20 minute slow part of the movie where you're following his character and nothing's really happening. Now, spliced in that is the other side of the food characters that we are following, and that was a nice way to break it up because that storyline was very funny and continued to move forward, but I felt that that lull just really slowed me down in the movie. I'm going to give Sausage Party a B+. Being that this is the first adult, fully CGI animated film, I think that this movie really knocked it out of the park. I think that its marketing was amazing. I think that the look was amazing. I think the comedy was amazing. I think the idea was amazing. I think that there were just small issues within the script that kind of like bogged the movie down because it was trying to be extremely clever through the whole time, and that's very tough to do. But I really hope that this movie makes a lot of money and makes it so the idea of adult animated films can continue to move forward, because on TV, adult comedy cartoons are extremely popular. Family Guy, South Park, Simpsons, things like that. But in the film realm, they've never really broken out. We've gotten some here and there that are like sort of, but I'd say this is the first one besides South Park back in the 90s that is a big time, raunchy, just like down and dirty rated R comedy, but it happens to be animated, and I hope that we get more of those in the future. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Sausage Party, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.